I'm Michael Bain and welcome to Triggered, coming to you as always from Dragon House Studios at the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains, and brought to you this week by Taurus USA. But we're going to talk about this gun today. This is an FNP-45, of course made by FN, one of the greatest arms manufacturers in the world, the makers of the High Power, the makers of the FAL, the makers of the SCAR. They build good guns. And this gun came back to light, to me, out of my gun safe, as it were, because I was thinking about changing the bedside gun, the gun that stays in the safe by my bed. For decades, that gun has been a SIG 226 in 9mm. Well, I wanted to get a red dot on it. I wanted a couple of things to change. And when I looked at the pricing, I thought, maybe I should look in my safe and see if there's something that I think would work in the context that I wanted. And I came across the FNP. Now, to me, it's a fascinating gun. It looks like a CZ75 that ate about 5 Thanksgiving dinners and porked out pretty badly. But it was actually created 2005, 2006 for the military Joint Combat Pistol Program that never happened. Essentially, the military said, we're going to want great big 45 semi-autos to replace the Beretta 92. And pretty much every gun company in America began tooling up really interesting 45s after years of focus on the 9mm. This was FN's entry. It is 14+1 polymer frame, hammer fired, not a striker, but a hammer fired double action, single action semi-auto. And it has, to me, a tremendous amount of features. It's ambidextrous, everything. But what I really like about this gun was, you notice it's cocked and you see the safety here. You can push up with this frame mounted safety, and now the gun is cocked and locked, just like a 1911. Or if you don't want to do that, if you would rather use it as a double action, single action, rather than strictly single action, push down on this lever and the hammer drops. So you can have it your way, have it your way. Again, 14+1 in 45 ACP. And the thing that struck me about this gun when I started shooting it was it shoots light. Now, I've read on the internet that there's no such thing as shoots light. You need to shoot more guns, because each gun has a different feel to it. And originally, when I started shooting 3-gun heavy metal, that is, it requires a 45, it requires a 12-gauge pump, and a 308. I was using one of my 1911s until I faced a stage where there were 49 shots, all pistol. I think I had every 1911 magazine I owned somewhere hanging on my body to get through that stage. And afterwards, I thought, why don't I look at a larger capacity 45? And I already had gotten this gun as a T&E from FN, so I bought it and started using it in 3-gun. And it did not beat me up, even if you're shooting 49 rounds through it. It is crazy accurate. It's one of the most accurate 45s I've ever shot. It's right up there on par with a SIG 220 or with a really good custom 1911, which is really amazing. The trigger pull is pretty good. I mean, obviously you saw the double action pull. It's a long stroke, but the single action pull, big take up, but really a pretty good trigger. Why would this make a good bedroom gun? Well, we're going to talk about that when Triggered returns. Welcome back to Triggered, where we're talking about the FN FNP-45 and how it might do duty as that bedside table gun. I took the FNP out and ran a bunch of rounds through it, and it was every bit as reliable and every bit as accurate as I remembered it to be at the 3-gun. I do want to make some changes on it that are much less expensive, by the way, to make on this than on the SIG 226. I need a red dot sight. Not a problem. Trij RMR, it's going to be milled in. Now, I'll need backup sights because this is a self-defense weapon. This is the direction I'm going there. These are Trij sights, backups, that were originally made for the FNP Tactical and later the gun that superseded the FNP, which would be the FNX, which I think is 2012 that gun came out, with some changes that are gun nerd changes. We can talk about some changes in the barrel, a few other changes on the gun. But the other thing I like 15 round magazines. These are FNX magazines. They have some issues that we'll be working on. They go in well, they feed well, they don't drop well, and that's because there is a slight difference in the dimensions of the FNX magazine and the FNP magazine, which is something FN does all the time. I think it might have to do with a virus or something, I don't know. But they're always changing little details on that. This gun will carry, as it carries here now, a TLR-8G. And so it's a 500 lumen light and a green laser. And I'm looking forward to getting this out and shoot it. I may change barrels and go to a threaded barrel. I haven't made that decision yet. But this guy will be sent off very soon. And then we'll see if it lives up to the standards that I think it will. Now, I want to take a look at one other gun while we're here. And this is something I've talked about and just got back. So we're going to take a quick look at this. This is a Taurus with the GX4-XL. That is the GX4, Taurus's entry in the minigun sweepstakes with an extra 3/4 inch on the barrel. And this one, what we're showing you, is it's fitted with an RMRcc, Trij RMRcc. This is Trijicon's version of a small sight to mount on these mini 9mm. And one of the things we've talked about in the past is this sight is not a standard screw pattern for anything. So basically, you need a plate, or you need a special plate, or you need to have this drilled specifically, a slide drilled specifically for this sight. Now, I had this sight machined. Galloway Precision did the machining to fit and drilled for this sight specifically because I really, really want the RMRcc to be down as low as I can get it. And you can see how it sits on the slide here. I'm going to replace these sights with suppressor height sights, which on the GX4 not a big deal. These are Glock standard. And there's plenty of suppressor height sights for Glock. I have them on the way from Midway, USA, of course. We'll put them on there. But all in all, this makes for a really small, really excellent package. Of course, Trij, you can see the difference between the RMRcc and the RMR full size. Excellent sights. You're going to see this gun, by the way, in the Best Defense version 2.0. When we come back, a little self-defense talk. This week's Triggered is brought to you by Armscore, Rock Island Armory. What's your passion? Taurus USA, always ready, always bring it. Stoker, everyday tough. SDS Imports and the Thesis PX9. Thesis means quality. Hunter's HD Gold. They change so you don't have to. Welcome back to Triggered and our Your Best Defense segment. What I'd like to talk about today is that handgun that you get just in case. And this comes from a question that came off of last week's MBTV on the Radio podcast. I was asked if a person new to guns, what would I recommend as a household defense gun? And then upon talking to that person, it became more of a, they were moving into the prepper community and they wanted to know what kind of core handgun they should have. Well, I'm always going to come down on the side of a Glock 19. And the reason I come down on the side of a Glock 19 is they're common as dirt. It is easily the most common handgun on earth. That's important. If it's a gun that you're having just in case, or you're a prepper and you think, hey, I want a good solid core gun to work from. The other great thing about the G19 is parts are cheap and they are readily available. So you can get for $50 enough parts to keep the G19 running until the aliens land. I'm pretty sure about that. The other gun that I recommended was, not surprisingly, the SIG Sig-Sauer P320. Of course, that is the standard military issue gun for the United States right now, 9mm, as the Glock 19 is 9mm. And I chose it for exactly the same reasons. It's common. And when you're getting a just-in-case gun, it's not a gun that you're going to be shooting in competition. It may not be a gun that you're going to carry. It needs to be common. It needs to have readily available parts. It needs to be fairly easy to run with even junk East Block ammunition. It needs to work. It needs to be easy to work on. And both the G19 and the SIG 320 fit that perfectly. So if you're looking at a gun to keep in the house for home defense, a gun that's going to last a long time, a gun that you know is going to work, a gun that's going to be easy to disassemble for cleaning, a gun that you can carry. And in the SIG's case, where you can take your fire control unit and set it into a smaller frame and easily make that your everyday carry, you need to go down the path of common. And that path of common is going to lead you to a G19 from Glock or a P320 from SIG. This is Triggered and brought to you this week by Taurus USA. You can find us on michaelbain.tv, and you can find on that as well a wealth of information. Tremendous number of videos, tremendous number of blog posts. I think you should stop in and check it out. You can also find us on YouTube. You can find us on Rumble. Hey, and check out our Twitter feed at MBANEACP. We're even there. We'll see you next week.